Welcome back, folks, to Widescreen The Theater of Blood Edition, Part 2. Welcome back, Mad Head.
Part 2.
Yeah.
Hello.
A quick reiteration, Mad Head and I are going to start our own horror podcast in July called Theater of Blood.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. And we're going to speak in old English woman voices through the whole... I really enjoyed The Exorcist.
Oh, scared. Consort.
It made me want pea soup and crumpets.
I've been wearing diapers ever since.
Right, yeah. But we're starting our own horror podcast, and a lot of people in the horror community are excited about it. And once we get it rolling, just like Widescreen, which I'm still promising, we are going to have guests and trivia and giveaways and all kinds of things. So what we're doing here under the Widescreen banner is introducing our Theater of Blood podcast. And this is part 2, and we're letting everybody know, get a little insight to Mad Head, who is yet to be a guest on this program.
Hello, hello.
And getting a little insight to him. And y'all know me, like Robert Shaw in Jaws. Y'all know me, know how I make a living. But
Killing sharks.
by the way, a great horror film that people don't consider a horror film. Jaws is one of the best.
Oh. I think it was rated number 1 during Sci-Fi Channel's list of top 100 horror films.
It's my number 5 horror film of all time. Yeah.
Deserves its place there.
Yeah, it does. It is a horror film. Anybody who argues that point, I ask you this: before 1975, did you wonder what was under your knees while you were standing in the water?
And now, seriously, like if there is a real life monster other than a shark, what's better? I mean, you know, it's in an area you're uncomfortable.
It's a monster that exists.
It's underneath
as we
you.
speak. It's out there right now. Yeah.
It can just swim through the air underneath you and eat you.
Yeah, you won't know it's coming until it bites you.
And whether you die from its bites or from drowning it, dragging you deep below, either way is just as horrible.
It's just, He sinks his teeth in you and his eyes roll back. I could do that whole Robert Shaw monologue, by the way.
All right, so we're doing this whole show about sharks.
Yeah, and I'm going to speak as Robert Shaw the whole time. So this is Widescreen introducing Theater of Blood and Part 2.
Part 2.
We started out talking about our favorite film directors, and we had to turn it into a two-parter because our favorite horror film directors. Because we can't just say, I like John Carpenter, let's move on. Things like that. So anyway, we're back with Part 2, and let's get right into it. Your turn.
Oh, it's on me.
I don't know. I don't remember.
All right. Well, this was mentioned before in the previous podcast, so I'm going to link the last cast. David Cronenberg.
David Cronenberg. Yes.
Body horror.
Body horror. Psychological and physical all at once.
I think the first thing that I saw of his was... Oh, God. I don't know which one I saw first. I think it was Scanners. Not Scanners. Yeah, Scanners.
Scanners was one of the last movies my dad played at the theater that he ran.
Ah.
Yeah. I was privy.
In the same neighborhood as Mr. John Carpenter? Is that the one?
No, the theater he ran while I was growing up. Back home.
Okay, okay.
No.
Because I know your father and John Carpenter probably went to the same theater.
There was
as
one
kids
theater in a 15-mile radius, and they grew up in neighboring towns, and they grew up watching the same kinds of things, and they're the exact same age, so I'm sure that it's just cool to think that maybe one night they were in the same theater as teenagers or kids, you know what I mean?
I'm sure they were.
Look, it's little Johnny Carpenter, he's a weirdo.
But the scene that Michael Ironside is trying to control the brain of the one political speaker on stage, and literally Tom Savini is the makeup effects artist on it.
That wasn't Savini.
It was Savini.
No, I challenge.
They shot the head with a shotgun?
No, that you're thinking of Maniac.
No, I'm thinking of Scanners. We may have a point of contention here to begin with.
Point of order, Your Honor.
I could have swore it was Tom Savini that did that shot, and a head explodes in the middle of a press conference. Because these people have telekinetic abilities to jump into the other person's mind and control it, and sometimes do more than that, cause them harm. And Michael Ironside puts his 2 fingers to his temple and brain fucks this man, and his head explodes. And if I remember correctly...
It's a mind-blowing scene. Thank you, folks. Back to you, Matt.
If I remember correctly, the scene was shot, and Tom Savini suggested that they actually just blow this fake head away with a shotgun, and it would look awesome. And it did. And I guess Anthony will have an answer for us.
I'll have an answer in just a moment. Keep talking, fella.
But let's go on to Cronenberg's other works.
Sure.
He did a great film.
I must stop you there. It was not Tom Savini. It was because Cronenberg's Canadian. He makes most of his films there. It was Canadian special effects guys Gary Zeller and Stefan Dupuis.
That's how I got confused. You know, Savini, Dupuis.
Yeah,
they're so close.
it. That's what did it.
They're so close. But anyway, they shot this head with a shotgun, an actual shotgun, and it explodes, and it's great.
It's fantastic. To this day, except the silly sound effect that Cronenberg lays on it. like a house exploding with watermelons in it. Yeah. Anyway, go on.
Only added to the awesomeness that I thought. Sorry, that's Alexa.
Alexa just spoke. Anyway.
So anyway, he went on to create a subgenre of horror that was very Lovecraftian and very about the inner horror. I think John Carpenter spoke about the 2 different types of horror, whether it's the external, the monster chasing you, or the internal, what's happening inside your body. And Cronenberg definitely embraced the inside your body horror.
Indeed. And, if I may interject, also the manifestation of that on the outside of your body.
Oh, yeah. What your body can become. Good case in point is Videodrome.
Videodrome and before that, The Brood.
The Brood.
Both perfect examples of that.
Yeah, very good.
And much later, in a very different way, Crash.
Which was a great film.
I love Crash. You, me, Roger Ebert, and Martin Scorsese, I think, are the only people that respect that movie.
That like Crash. But since I was just speaking on it, Videodrome.
Yeah.
Fantastic film.
Love it. Masterpiece.
Has James Woods, and Deborah Harry, and for those who don't know her by that name, I'm talking about Blondie. And not only Blondie being a sadomasochist.
Big time.
Yeah, and torturing herself. And to see James Woods' transformation as a character through that film to where he literally reaches into his own stomach and comes out with a cancer-shooting gun arm and proceeds to shoot tumors at people.
Which, again, is the manifestation of the evil boiling inside of him made tangible. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, he could now reach in his stomach and pull out this gun.
Like, on the surface, Cronenberg movies may, like the way what you just described, may sound silly. But Cronenberg has always had a deeper meaning to everything.
Correct.
Yeah.
You have to catch it in context for it to make sense. And I don't know how you, if you haven't seen it, can make sense of him reaching into his own stomach, pulling out a cancer gun that turns his arm into a cancer gun arm, and then shooting people with it. But if you watch the movie, yes, it does fit.
I also challenge you, if you haven't seen it, to make sense of him making love to his television.
Good point, sir. Good point.
Videodrome is a great film.
But Cronenberg had a style to him.
Yeah. He's moved away from horror.
He has. And his films away from horror have been great.
They're wonderful.
History of Violence
History of Violence is a masterpiece. I love that film. Not a masterpiece, but I love Eastern Promises.
Eastern Promises, very good.
Both
with Viggo Mortensen.
Yeah. He's
Aegon or whatever, Aragon.
Yep. He has now gotten him and Viggo are like Scorsese and De Niro, Scorsese and DiCaprio. You know,
Right.
They have this succession of great films and performances, and even Cronenberg's lesser-known Dangerous Method.
Yes.
That came out where Viggo played Freud and Michael Fassbender played Carl Jung, and not just because I was a philosophy major, but that's a great freaking film, you know. And if you know anything about those two guys, which I do,
Fassbender and
Freud and Jung, it's fascinating to see how that's brought to light.
Fantastic film.
Because Jung changed his, without getting into it, Jung completely flip-flopped and changed his view on human sexuality and psyche because of a patient played by Keira Knightley.
Wow. And it shows the power of film.
Yeah.
You know, if it influenced someone who was directly involved in it.
Yeah. And he is a great director, but he's also... Here's the thing, Cronenberg gets 2 titles. One of the best directors working in film, and he was also, in his day, one of the best horror directors working in film. You know what I mean?
Yes. Because he did something different.
The Fly.
i.e. here, you know, if people listening, hey, you want to do something in horror? Try to show me something new.
Show us something new. Or take an old thing and make it new again. Not horror, but quickest example I have in my head, Creed.
Oh.
They took something old and long stale and made it feel like I was watching Rocky for the first time.
Does everybody like a feel-good sports movie? I think they do.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Feel good. Inspiring. You can do it if you try.
Right. But no, I love Creed. But anyway, that's different. Different podcast.
As did I.
The way different podcast.
As did I. And the only, I believe, Rocky film that was not directed by.
Was not written by Stallone.
Not written by Stallone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cronenberg is fantastic. It's hard to pick my favorite Cronenberg film, but if I had to go with just his horror films, I have to go. I cannot not go with The Fly.
Yeah.
What I think, as far as horror remakes, second only to Carpenter's The Thing.
I would agree with that.
Because they both took the idea and, like you just
expanded
said, made it something way new and original. And, oh my God.
And a lot closer to the source material that they were written on.
Exactly.
Because you know, you have to say that technology advances over time.
Yeah.
People are able to do things in film over time that they weren't previously able to. And you know, the Thing from Another World would have been hokey and crappy if they had tried to do Carpenter's version back then. But that film, The Thing from Another World, is terrifying.
A great horror film.
And they created a great horror film. And for them to take it and make a suspense story the way they did, and to have Carpenter come later and have the ability to go back to the source material gives you 2 great films. I would feel the same way about these 2.
Yeah.
The original Fly.
It's silly, but it's fun.
It's silly, but it's fun. And then, you know, you have the later ability to add the special effects of the teleportation devices of Brundlefly.
Brundlefly, yeah.
Once he's, you know, developing.
And Cronenberg, once again, in a major way, probably the biggest way since Videodrome, gets to really explore his manifestation of the
of body horror.
Yeah, big time.
And it hit.
And that was the first time Jeff Goldblum was muscular in a movie.
And
He'd always been the skinny nerd for all these years. Yeah. No, it's a fantastic film. It's just a brilliant film. And it's a crisp, like, 93 minutes.
Yeah. Doesn't leave you a stale moment.
No, he meets her, he takes her to dinner, explains what he wants to do, does it, things go haywire, monster, over. Brilliant movie, yeah. I love The Fly.
Monster.
Monster. That'd be a good title for a movie. But no, you're right. Cronenberg is a great pick. He's one of the great horror directors who has left horror, but that's fine. He wanted to do some other shit, and he's doing it goddamn well. Since he left horror, I haven't seen a Cronenberg movie I don't like.
I can agree to that.
Yeah.
I can agree to that.
I haven't loved them all, but I've liked them all. I love most of them. No, he's fantastic.
And it still feels like a Cronenberg film.
Oh, yeah.
And it's strange to say that, like going from horror to straight, that they would feel the same, but his has always been about the internal turmoil of the characters.
Yeah.
Whether it be something mutating their bodies that they can't control,
Sure.
or an outside influence of mob or what have you that influences them outside of their control.
Yeah. No, it's great. And his my wife is a hard sell on horror films. She likes horror films. But she does not like the ones that make you physically uncomfortable. And that is something that Cronenberg excels at. His movies, they're creepy. They're not scary. But they're creepy and they make you physically uncomfortable. Like there are scenes in The Brood, which is inherently silly.
Yeah.
But that the special effects are so good and what he's doing with it. The babies on the flesh. And I'm like, ugh.
And then you come to find out they're all breeding in one place.
Yeah.
And this whole like...
Exactly. And I've seen it all. You and I have seen it all in horror. We have seen it all. From the bad to the good, from the gross to the this. But I still... The Brood, certain moments of Videodrome, I'm... Ugh. you know? It gets to me. And that is great. That's what I want.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I've seen it all, and you can still gross me out.
If you can physically feel an emotion strongly from these films, and they're accomplishing what they meant to do for you.
No, Cronenberg's a fantastic thing. One of the best, one of my favorite filmmakers ever. I'm gonna go back a ways. I'm gonna go back in time. And here's somebody that is respect. We should do a show on the Back to the Future films. I hate them all. I'm like the only one in the universe.
Not the first one?
Yes.
Well, I hate the other two, but
the
first one.
Oh, look. Anyway. But I'm going to go to a guy who is respected in the horror genre, but is way outside and is not mentioned enough. Mario Bava. Mario Bava.
You're talking about the godfather of horror that paved the way for the person we talked about earlier. Dario Argento would not exist without Mario Bava.
But when you hear discussions of horror geniuses, they rarely mention Mario Bava.
If there's one thing that pops up, it's Black Sunday.
Black Sunday is his masterpiece.
If there's one thing that you hear about revered, it's Black Sunday. But otherwise, all his other works, which are extensive, are ignored. And
Twitch of the Death Nerve? Yeah.
Twitch of the Death Nerve.
Great film. Mario Bava, I think his thing, he's basically responsible for the birth of Giallo. I mean, Argento
exactly.
scooped it up and owned it.
Right.
I'm taking it over. It's mine now forever. But Bava he begat. Yeah. Bava was, we talked about the aggressiveness of Argento's filmmaking. Imagine that times 10. That was Bava. He was
especially for his time.
Yeah.
I mean, people hadn't
early, mid, late 60s, yeah.
If people hadn't seen what he was putting on the screen.
No.
He was shocking people to their core.
And, I mean, there had been films where they burn women at the stake, they cut away, or they have the fire that you can tell is 10 feet away.
But how about putting the spiked iron mask on her face and hammering it into place?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my.
And plus the scene where they burn. And it's just horrifying stuff. It's horror. Black Sunday is one of my favorite horror films of all time. It's a brilliant film. Yeah, exactly. It's a brilliant film.
Just had just got that purchased for me by someone whom I love very much. So thank you.
I didn't buy that for you.
Oh. It wasn't you?
It wasn't me. No, Black Sunday, and again, for time restraints, that's the one we'll speak of very quickly. But yeah, Jesus Christ. that my favorite kind of horror.
Not to mention her raising a zombie, bringing him. So many influences on so many films to pass after.
My favorite kind of horror is the supernatural, the witches, the devils. That's my thing.
Yeah.
And in Black Sunday, Bava gives us all of that to the nth degree. And this is what, 66? 67?
Agreed wholeheartedly.
Dear God, that's a terrifying movie. And it's in your face from the minute it starts till the minute it's over. And it's harsh. It's harsh. I love it. And I don't remember who did this score, but it's Ennio Morricone-esque. When Ennio Morricone got into his real yay moments, you know. I mean, it is just, everything is in your face. It's a terrifying experience. I saw it at the AFI. I'd never seen it I've seen it 20 times. Never seen it on the big screen. Saw it at the AFI by myself. I was terrified. I mean, there was other people in the audience, but I went alone. I was terrified. The images that have terrified me on the small screen are now 10 times bigger and louder, and it's surrounding me. Oh, it's just a great film, man. God damn it. Not Carolyn Jones. Carolyn Jones? Carolyn Jones?
He's going to look it up, Bex.
I'm looking it up.
He's looking it up. He's cheating.
Barbara Steele gives one of the most terrifying performances in horror history.
I just didn't know the name you were trying to come up with.
Her eyes, her
monologue.
Voice. Oh, Jesus.
Her monologue before she's put to death. It's like, I will come back and fuck you all.
Yeah, she's like, I'm coming. Yeah, oh my God. What a great... And then the sounds of her when they're hammering it in. Jesus. It's just such a great film. It's in my top 10 of all time.
I would agree. Yeah.
I'm petrified speaking of it. Yeah, it's a wonderful film. And Bava, he was hit and miss. For an example of that.
Well, he was an extensive person. You're talking about, at his time, he was making 2 to 3 movies a year.
Yeah, and he did a couple of spaghetti westerns.
Yeah. 2 to 3 movies a year. And not only did he have his hand in spaghetti westerns, but he went on to influence Lamberto Bava, who went on to do horror and westerns, and Dario Argento, who we spoke about before, who wrote of the best.
I was about to say, lest we forget, we forgot to mention this when we brought up Argento. Wrote one of the all-time great films
of all time.
Co-wrote with Bernardo Bertolucci and Sergio Leone. Yeah, Once Upon a Time in the West. Dario Argento wrote Something You See There. I don't know who did what.
Protege of.
Yeah.
Protege of. Right. If it wasn't for Mario Bava, these people wouldn't exist in film.
Not at all. And if you think of the trickle-down theory, if you will, Argento wouldn't exist without Bava, ergo Carpenter and Sam Raimi wouldn't exist. I just tipped my hat to my next one. Wouldn't exist without Argento, ergo on and on. Eli Roth wouldn't exist without Raimi, ergo,
Right.
And Bava started it all.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. If you want to go back to influences, he's one of the biggest.
And the funny thing about him is, I mentioned him as one of my favorite horror filmmakers, and he is. And he's made maybe 3 great horror films, and the rest are shit. But at least 2 are masterpieces, and Black Sunday is one of the all-time greatest horror films
of all time.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
All right. Well, if it's
real quick, if you want true terror, not just horror, if you want terror, Black Sunday.
That's fantastic.
All right, go on.
I'm going to keep it Italian. I'm going to go for the other side of horror. Some people like the suspense and the feeling of dread, and some people just like a bloodbath. And this other guy was about the other side. And his name is Lucio Fulci.
All right.
So Fulci has a trilogy that is revered in the horror community.
As well it should be, sir.
As well it should be.
As silly and batshit crazy as it is.
As well as it should be. And he has others that are great, too. But if you want the gore, guts, grab 'em horror, this guy will put out... You can watch his films now, as a novice. Now. Right now. and you will see more gross imagery than you've seen in any horror movies you're watching today.
Mm-hmm.
Much more.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So Fulci has what's called his trilogy. Apocalypse Trilogy.
Is that what he calls it, the Apocalypse Trilogy?
His is the Apocalypse Trilogy. John Carpenter has his Apocalypse Trilogy. Fulci has his Apocalypse Trilogy. I would give the edge to John Carpenter,
Me
but
too.
that's just
Me
because
too.
he's a
I
great...
wasn't gonna say that, but so would I. Yeah.
But,
Carpenter's wins.
Right. It does win, but that's not to take away
exactly
from what he did. So he started off with The Beyond.
Wonderful film.
It's
batshit crazy stupid.
It's batshit crazy stupid, but amazing.
Holy
imagery.
shit! Yeah, it's the closest thing to Argento you can get without being Dario Argento.
And am I mistaken? But wasn't that Ennio Morricone?
The Beyond.
Did the soundtrack?
The Beyond was not. He did a Fulci movie. I don't know what it was. I believe The Beyond was Goblin. But Morricone,
I know Zombie 2 or Zombie, depending upon where it was released, was Goblin.
Yeah. Morricone did a lot of work for Argento, by the way, as you probably already know, I'm sure. But, I think The Beyond, I don't know. You know what? Keep going. I'll have an answer in a second. We have the world at our fingertips, folks.
It's true. But the Beyond was a story of a house in New Orleans that is one of the 7 gates of hell. And through its eruption into the world, all the imagery can come to life. It was zombies before zombies.
Well, it was 81.
That's true. It was horrific zombies.
Woo!
And nightmare sequences that were nonsensical, but still led you back to the same place they started.
Thank you for saying that, because they are nonsensical. Well put, my friend.
It is. It's almost like a nightmare reality.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a nightmare reality.
The music for Beyond was done by one Fabio Frizzi. I don't know who that is.
Fabio Frizzi.
Yeah.
I do have the album. It's very good.
It's good score. No, it's a good film. I like it. It's a great film. Excuse me. I love it.
The other 2 in this trilogy are, depending upon where you find it and what copy, it will be called Zombie or Zombie 2. Zombie 2 is because the Dawn of the Dead premiere in Italy was called Zombie.
Right.
And so they immediately tried to cash in on that and named his sequel film, which was not a sequel whatsoever.
Nope.
Totally not intended to be a part of that universe. Zombie 2 to cash in on it. When it was released here in the United States, it was called Zombie. And it's a fantastic zombie film.
It is. It is.
It really is.
There are times when it tries my patience.
I can agree with you, Anthony. It's not entertaining story-wise as well as many other films.
Right.
But its visual imagery, especially for its time, were groundbreaking.
Sure.
The Spanish conquistadors coming out of the ground.
That is
ripping out Tisafero's throat.
Right.
Is amazing and groundbreaking. And the eye pop. Yeah. And if you haven't seen this movie, I'm not going to spoil it anymore.
Don't spoil it.
Then it's eye popping.
Let them experience that.
It's eye popping.
Yeah, it is.
And the last is the most underknown, and I think the grossest of films that I've ever seen.
It's disgusting.
City of the Living Dead, or The Gates of Hell, because many Italian movies back then had multiple titles.
You know what makes that movie so disgusting?
Her puking her intestines out into her own stomach?
Well, that. But it's so gritty looking. It's almost documentary style. And it looks so real, and everything's so dirty already. And
yeah, I can agree. It's like watching one of the Faces of Death videos.
Yeah, exactly. Sure.
But it was so over the top. Like he went for gore. If you're a gore hound and you haven't seen this movie, you just found the next one to watch.
Yep,
ladies and gentlemen,
go.
you did. So Fulci, gore.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Not a great storyteller.
No, he's not. Not a great screenwriter. Maybe not even a great director.
Don't look for it for the story.
But here's a weird statement. He's not really a great director, but he's one of the best horror directors.
Period.
Figure that one out.
Yeah, I can agree.
I'll be brief on this next one, but Sam Raimi. Lest we forget, he's one of the finest horror filmmakers ever. I mean, everybody, he's all Spider-Man now, and I'm sorry, Sam, I love you, but the not so good Wizard of Oz prequel. But the Evil Dead trilogy and Drag Me to Hell. A lot of people didn't like Drag Me to Hell. I love Drag Me to Hell. Yeah. That is the kind of movie we want. That is Sam Raimi at his best.
Horror and humor. We talked about the walk and balance of earlier.
Right.
He does it well.
He knows
how it goes.
My wife and I went to see Drag Me to Hell. She thought, but it's not her type of horror film. I saw it with an opening weekend with a crowd. And there were 5 African American teenage girls behind us, and it was the time of my life, man. They were screaming and jumping and kicking, and that's great. That's the horror that we never really fully got to experience. You know what I mean? Because I came up in the '80s, ergo everything was VHS. You know, my dad I remember he would tell me stories. I was only 9 when Halloween came out in '78. And, of course, I
Damn, you're old.
I know, right?
Can you hear me right now?
I wasn't allowed to go. But he would tell me, he was training somebody in St. Louis for a movie theater. And he said he saw Halloween on opening weekend in East St. Louis in 1978 with a predominantly African-American crowd. He said it's one of the best times he's ever had at the movie. People yelling and screaming and jumping and laughing. And you don't get to experience, and I experienced that at Drag Me to Hell. Unfortunately, it wasn't a big hit. But, no, he knows how to do the goofy humor and
I would agree.
And shocking stuff. And, yeah, after Evil Dead 1, he really put the emphasis on humor. But Evil Dead 1, even at some of Evil Dead 2. Evil Dead 1
the only reason it's considered humorous is because of their lack of budget.
Yeah.
If he had the budget, he could have created the scariest movie of all time.
It's my number 6. It is horrifying. It's terrifying. The girl under the stairs, under the floorboards.
Oh.
The
Dead
tree.
by Dawn. Dead by Dawn.
That cackling and that is one of the most terrifying films I've ever seen. I mean, he knows how to scare you. But I miss Sam Raimi doing horror. He's moved away.
Well, he moved away once and came back. He moved away a second time.
Maybe he'll come back again.
Maybe he'll come back.
And if you watch the unrated, I own the unrated Drag Me to Hell. There's more gore and more shocks, and it's even better. I liked it. I like Drag. It's not perfect.
No, it was enjoyable.
Frightening and fun.
Every character played their part very well. Justin Long, Allison Lohman.
Yeah.
And whoever played the gypsy woman.
One of the I put her up there with the tall man. Yeah, I mean, nailed it. Yeah. She is just amazing. No, it's a great film, and Raimi is a director who could scare us.
All right, so if we're going to talk about Raimi, we're talking about his newer stuff. Let's go back. Evil Dead and that whole trilogy. Oh my God,
it's fantastic.
How iconic. How many? Now there's a mini-series on, a series on Starz,
which is great.
Ash vs. the Evil Dead. Damn entertaining.
Greatest last moment of any series premiere ever. Do you remember it? He puts on his, they fitted his chainsaw for him. He puts it on. How do you feel? groovy. Yeah.
Groovy.
They cut to that hard rock and oh,
Dun, dun.
I was transported back to freaking 1985. You know.
And this was the sequel really is probably more revered than the original. Evil Dead 2 is one of the few sequels you will see in history of movies, not just horror, that is more known than its original.
And that's true, and it is a blast. But for true brilliant horror filmmaking, I'd say stick with Evil Dead 1. The Evil Dead 1 is the one that frightens me to my fuck. To this day, it frightens me to my. It chills me to the bones. It's just terrifying.
Well,
Still,
that's if you want to be scared. But Evil Dead 2 perfectly walked that horror and humor mix.
It's hilarious. And you know what it does? It keeps... Oh, your eyes are rolling on this scene? Well, watch. I'm going to get worse and worse. I mean that in a good way. Worse and worse and worse. Crazier and crazier and crazier.
You know, you and I were talking about horror and humor, and no one had mixed it as well as An American Werewolf in London.
John Landis.
By John Landis. Mm-hmm. If there were a number 2, I would say it's Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
And we didn't talk about that at that time.
No, we didn't. Yeah, and you're right. That is a perfect balance.
And I thought it was.
No, that's a perfect balance. You're right. No, Evil Dead, and don't get me wrong, and I gotta confess, I like Army of Darkness. It's fine, but at that, I'm like, you've gotten too far away now. You know,
I loved Army of Darkness.
Oh, it's fun. I own it. It's a blast. You know, I own the trilogy. But
well, it was also him taking his character to what you see in the series now, the nth degree.
Yeah,
totally over the top.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
He is Ash.
His boomstick.
A lot of it was created in that movie.
Oh, the Ash that we see on Ash vs. Evil Dead was created in Army of Darkness.
Yeah, he's not the Ash of Evil Dead or Evil Dead 2.
And what's funny, that's the biggest one on video, yet it was the biggest flop of the series. Because Universal picked that up and released it majorly, and people stayed away.
Army of Darkness?
Yeah, because, and I think what we were just talking about, because everybody, oh man, did you see the first 2 Evil Deads? All right, let's go to this one. What the hell is this? You know what I mean? I don't know.
How about calling it Evil Dead 3, The Army of Darkness?
They should have, yeah. But I think it was, I don't think. It was Raimi's ode to the Ray Harryhausen films mixed with him continuing the adventures of Ash, you know. And it's a fine movie, don't get me wrong, I like it, but it's way removed from Evil Dead 1 and 2.
Oh, yeah, no, different universes, I think.
Yeah, it should almost be called The Further Adventures of Ash, you know.
Yeah, the first 2 are horror, that was a fun adventure movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Adventure.
Right.
I would put it more in the, realm of Indiana Jones than I would.
I agree, and strangely enough, and you can see it now in retrospect, it begat Xena Warrior Princess,
which he also went on to direct.
Yeah, he directed the first couple, I think,
and even Bruce Campbell showed up in there as the Prince of Thieves,
And I will say that I watched the first 5 or 6, and I'm like, I'm done. She's hot, I'm done. Yeah.
And now she's back as,
She's on Ash vs. Evil Dead. Yeah, exactly. No, but Raimi, one of the true horror greats, and he made one of the all-time terrifying films in the first Evil Dead. It is just absolutely terrifying. Absolutely. From the beginning. Just the way it's shot.
Like that cabin in the woods. Absolutely agree.
For Pete's sake. Yeah, it's just terrifying. And the sound of the guy reading from the Book of the Dead on the tape. It's frightening. He really went for horror, and he knows what scares us, and it works. All 90 minutes of it. I think it's 85 minutes.
Yeah.
And it works. And I'm scared every moment until it ends.
I can agree wholeheartedly.
Until the last scene where they pull the camera real fast on the rope. Because that's how they did it. Because they didn't have any equipment.
Or running with it on a pole.
Yeah, exactly.
Like literally. And he's like, I'm going to stab Bruce Campbell in the face 6 times.
Bang, bang, bang. Yeah, exactly.
Because they used to prank each other all the time.
But no, Raimi. There's another one from me.
Raimi is a great one. Okay. So I guess it's on me. This one is a bit cliche. Everybody knows it. And I have to mention it now because he was a huge influence on me.
Are we there already?
John Carpenter.
There you go.
Just kidding.
Oh. Wait,
Wes Craven.
Okay.
I think he's only second to John Carpenter in most people's minds.
Oh, in most people's minds. Okay.
In most people's minds. But Wes Craven, for me, created the most iconic horror character in history, in my mind.
Agreed.
Freddy Krueger was my anti-hero when I grew up. A Nightmare on Elm Street, that first film, scared me so bad that I slept in my parents' bed for weeks. And I just fell in love right there. You know, most kids would spend a few nights in their parents' bed and be like, I'll never do that again. I was like, man, I can't wait to do that again.
Yeah, right. Scoot over, folks. Yeah. I'm coming in.
I know. I mean, forget Transformers or G.I. Joe. There's this guy, Freddy. He's the coolest.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said it was scary, because guess what? It still is.
Oh, it's terrifying.
The way he shoots that.
The first Nightmare on Elm Street film. Terrifying.
It's the only scary one. It's scary.
And he created a character for me that I thought was more iconic than Dracula or Frankenstein.
Hold on there, Hoss.
Or the Wolfman.
Hold on there, Hoss.
Or the Mummy.
I'd put him
he
side
didn't have
by
as
side
much
with
backstory as them. He didn't.
Actually, he had a pretty good goddamn backstory.
But for terror, I mean, this guy hunted you in a playground you couldn't escape from.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone has to sleep.
Well put. Yeah.
Everyone has to sleep. You cannot escape his killing ground.
And the scary thing about it, he's waiting. He's there, waiting for you. And as soon as you doze off, there he is. You know?
Also separating him from the universal monsters of before. He did it joyfully.
Yeah, that's right.
He wanted to kill you.
It was all about revenge.
Yep.
Yeah.
His eerie smile, like, God, he wanted to do it.
I mean, he became what he became, and that took away from the horror. That took away from the
in the subsequent films.
Scariness
Correct.
of him. He
Correct.
became the one. He became the.
But also
Schwarzenegger.
a character you could still love.
Yeah, of course, I still loved him, but he became the Arnold Schwarzenegger of the horror genre. He kept waiting for his next one-liner. You know what I mean? As he killed someone.
Welcome to prime time, bitch.
Every town has an Elm Street. You know, which is a great one.
Now you're playing with power.
Yeah. But and then
Howard Love reference, by the way. Any old Nintendo people?
Yeah, really. Yeah, that's a deep one. But no, he is wonderful, and regardless of what he went on to become, and frankly, including what he went on to become, Wes Craven created that character, and I'm sure you know the backstory of it.
Yeah, seeing the guy out his window.
Seeing the guy out his window rummaging through his trash.
And then
he looks up and smiles at him. Yeah, as a kid, Jesus Christ, that's terrifying. When I heard him tell that story, I'm like, I'm scared now. Yeah. No, it's an iconic character, and the original one is a terrifying film, and the series is mostly hit, I think.
Yeah.
Especially when Craven returned.
Yeah, absolutely.
I consider Wes Craven a master of horror. 1, 3, and
7, all the ones that he had his hands in,
there you go.
are the best.
There you go. I consider Wes Craven a master of horror, but the crazy thing is, I've only liked 3 or 4 of his movies. I love Nightmare on Elm Street. I like the original Hills Have Eyes.
Yep. Now getting into his other films. Yeah.
Last House on the Left is a terrifying experience. I like Scream, I guess. So there's 4. Other than that, I don't. When he died, I revisited a lot of his work. I hate Shocker. I hate Deadly Friend. I hate Deadly Blessing. There's so much I hate.
I love Deadly Friends. I mean, when she crushes the throw mama from the train woman's face with a basketball.
And whatever, yeah.
I thought that was awesome.
But Craven knows horror.
And Shocker. Come on, you hated Shocker.
Jesus, did I?
It was so cheesy goodness.
I hated that movie so much.
Oh, man.
And Scream, it is what it is. But at the time, it was fantastic. But no, he is a master of horror because he knows what scares us. And he's done at least 2 of the greatest horror films ever made, in my opinion.
No.
Nightmare and Last House on the Left. Which is just an unrelenting experience.
Last House on the Left. I mean,
almost want to turn it off every time you see it.
Yeah, it's just so disgusting.
It's horrifying.
I Spit on Your Grave, Last House on the Left hold 2 places in my mind that are almost equal of feeling and disgust.
Yeah.
Only the better of the 2 films was Last House on the Left.
Sure.
It was more of a film.
I own them both on Blu-ray, mind you.
I own them both too. Yeah.
And I will watch them again.
But you
I
don't
know
to.
how many times. You know what I'm in the mood for? Let me make a sandwich and watch, I Spit on Your Grave and Last House on the Left. Would make a good double feature, but Jesus, after that, I want to take a shower, get some therapy. They're just terrifyingly, horrifically
effective.
Oh, and that's what's good about it. Well, we should dwell on Craven's, yeah.
No, but you walk away from the experience still feeling it.
Sure.
And that is your objective when you watch something
Wes
like
Craven
this.
himself has said it's hard for him to watch Last House on the Left. He said, I made the thing, and it disgusts me when I watch it. Yep. It's effective on its own filmmaker.
Yeah.
On its own creator, it's effective. And I think that and what we spoke of about Nightmare on Elm Street and Scream, he is a master of horror. While I've liked less of his films than most people, I hold him up there. He is one of the great horror directors. I agree. Yeah.
I would say not only one of the best, he has to be considered in the top tier.
I'll put him in the lower part of my top 10. That's the best I can do. But hey, top 10. What the hell? Yeah. But no, and apparently the nicest guy in the world.
Was, yes.
Yeah, it was. Rest in peace, Wes.
God rest in peace.
Couple of small ones very quickly.
Freddy Krueger, I know we talked about this in the beginning, but I have to go back. Freddy Krueger was more than just a character for me. He was my Optimus Prime, my Duke or Snake Eyes. He was my... any of the shows that you watch now, your iconic hero character, he was my anti-version.
Right.
I loved Freddy so much. I thought he was so cool. Opened up the world to horror for me. And Wes Craven did that for me.
Exactly.
He was a huge, huge influence.
Sure, and whatever I think of his other films, that can't be denied. He is a master of horror. For that alone. There's other reasons, but that right there, the creation and execution of Freddy Krueger in the first film nails Craven's place in horror history. Yeah, no, he's fantastic. And I think we should talk about a couple of smaller ones very quickly, and then I'm sure we're going to end on the biggie together here.
I think we both have the same favorite.
Lucky McKee.
Yeah.
A guy I think I like a little more than you do.
Yeah, but I enjoy him.
I love Lucky McKee. May is a horror classic.
Sewing together parts to make a perfect boyfriend.
Sure, yeah.
Awesome.
Angela Bettis, a great... She's not really a scream queen because she's usually the antagonist.
Yeah. But she plays the parts very well.
Oh, and she
has that disconnected but want to be connected.
Sure. And she and the wonderful Masters of Horror episode starring her.
Yeah.
From McKee. Sick Girl.
Bug.
Sick Girl.
Yeah, about the bug.
One of my top 5 Masters of Horror episodes. And he did another film that nobody liked, and I'm not sure. I think you were underwhelmed. It was kind of his ode to Argento.
Remake?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Woods. I think it's a very effective film. Very effective.
I mean, all right, it was an ode to Dario Argento.
It was.
It had Bruce Campbell in it.
It did.
And I still didn't like it.
I liked it. It's and look, here's the thing though. I can't argue anybody who doesn't like that. Like if you say to me, I didn't like Taxi Driver, I can sit here for 48 hours straight explain to you why you should like Taxi Driver. The Woods, I'll give you The Woods. I can't. You either like it or you don't like it. I like it. I think it's effective. It's not a masterpiece, but I own it. I think it's a damn good horror indie quickie, if you will.
Yeah.
And he did another one called The Woman. Have you seen The Woman?
I have not.
A great talk about the visceral horror. It is just relentless. It is not to the level of, but it's Last House on the Lefty. It's brutal and vicious and terrifying, and it's a damn. You should see The Woman. I want to know what you think of that. Maybe we can talk about that on Theater of Blood.
Well, I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, if this man recommends it, I will probably watch it.
But just remember, I recommend The Woods too. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. And then he did All Cheerleaders Must Die was his latest one.
I will say, I think in The Woods, what I didn't like was the antagonist.
Patricia Clarkson?
Yes.
Are you talking about, yeah.
The blonde lady?
Yeah, I don't, the headmistress.
Yeah.
I don't like her as an actress, so I agree with you.
Yeah.
She annoys me.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was her or the way he wrote the role and crafted it. But yeah, I agree with you on that. Yeah. Like I said, I don't think it's a masterpiece. I bought it for like $8. And it's on DVD, not Blu-ray. I like it, though. I think it's a good film.
But I will agree with you wholeheartedly on May.
May is a masterpiece.
His best film.
It is still his best film. Yes.
I think so.
The Woman, I can't wait till you see it. The Woman comes close. It comes close. If May is a 5-star film on my scale, The Woman is a strong 4. Yeah.
We'll have to give it a watch.
I can't wait till you do. Yeah, that was a little quick one. We're getting to the end. We have 2 big ones, actually, we should mention. I mean, we could talk all day. We could bring up...
Keep going with the small ones. Anthony, you have the floor.
I'm just saying for time constraints. You want to do a part 3? Well, I don't know if we... Can't be done. Can't be done.
Do it.
Very quickly, we of course we could speak all day about James Whale and Todd Browning from the Universal Studios, but that's long. They're their own...
That's their own story.
Yeah, they're their own shows.
We should have said this was a modern influence.
Exactly. And we, Alfred Hitchcock and so on and so Brian De Palma to a certain extent. We could go on and on. But these guys are their own shows, ergo. And some of their films are their own shows in themselves.
In each one, yes.
Yeah. But, for time constraints, we'll move on to our 2 biggies. And the strange thing, before we get to the biggie, the strange thing about this next one, he is a biggie, but he has been reduced to being a smallie, yet he is a biggie, and his name is Tobe Hooper. Tobe Hooper is in the top 5 greatest horror directors ever.
Oh, my.
Ever.
Oh, my. Oh, my.
Oh.
Maybe the single most terrifying film of all time.
It's my number 2. Next to The Exorcist, everybody knows, is my all-time.
Yeah.
And
Fred Decker.
Oh, of course, yeah, Fred Decker, Tom Holland, John McNaughton for Henry Portrait of a Tom Holland for Fright Night and Child's Play. We can get in. We'll get into all this stuff later in different venues in Theater of Blood. All these people. Fred Decker, Night of the Creeps, my Monster Squad, my Goonies.
Yeah.
I never liked the Goonies. Monster Squad is the one for me.
Wolfman's Got Nards.
Yeah. But yeah, all those guys, of course. Yeah, they're great as well. And Fred Decker wrote a lot. And Fred Decker wrote RoboCop 2 and directed 3.
The Ninja?
Yeah. But no, Tobe Hooper directed my number 2 horror film of all time. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original. Just, we spoke recently about visceral, in-your-face terror.
I think it is the most terrifying film of all time that does not deal with the supernatural whatsoever.
I'll give you that, yeah, exactly. As far as non-supernatural, that's it. That's the one. And if I think hard enough, like, The Exorcist still creeps me out when I watch it. It still does. My wife and I saw it at the theater last Halloween. And it's still creepy. You still get that, oh, Jesus feeling. But, man, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It starts once the great entry of Leatherface. What a brilliantly done scene. And from that moment on, it does not let you rest until she is driving. Not even after she's driving away to safety. Because we still cut back to him swinging that loud chainsaw.
Gunnar Hansen. God
rest his soul. Or whoever rest his soul. Yeah, it is just one of the most horrific films ever made. And I mean that in the positive sense. It doesn't stop. He says, okay, you think you're safe? She jumped out the window to safety? No. She's going to be pulled back into the house.
Yeah.
And we're going to go through what we just went through all over again.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's terrifying.
Not to mention that it was thought of as the goriest movie of all time.
There's not
during its time.
There's no blood, barely.
The only blood you see is when he lifts the one girl up and sets her on a hook.
You see a splatter on the back wall.
And you see a little bit of blood drop, by her feet.
You see that, and you see a splatter on the back wall, but it's hard to see because the wall is so disgusting and dirty.
Right.
And then, of course...
And nothing. Yeah. You don't see the hook go in. You don't see anything. It's
all implication.
Yeah. And it's so much more effective that way. Like, it's still one of the hardest scenes for me to watch.
Oh, it's horrifying. Yeah, it's hard to watch. And you know what's another thing great about the scene where he puts the woman on the hook? Has anybody ever said that phrase before? You know what I love about the scene where he puts the woman on the hook?
The hooker.
You know what if they filmed that now, it would be... But there's no sound effect.
Yeah.
He just pops her on there. It's her screams. That's what we hear. And then when he pops her on, the screams stop. And she's just struggling.
Yeah.
And there's no sound effect. Ugh. It's terrifying. I'm replaying it as we talk about it in my head.
It plays real in your mind.
It is.
When you watch it,
the film looks real.
Yeah, it feels real. Yeah. And then the long sequences in the field, just hearing the chainsaw coming, you can't see anything really. It's all, you're running in the middle of nowhere, and all of a sudden he's there.
Yeah. And that's the thing. He doesn't stalk. He turns on his chainsaw and he runs full blast as much as he can, as big as he is, runs full blast after you.
And half of it is hearing his false knee. He's got a knee, brace on. And you hear
and then he's making all those pig noises, and he's this weird cross-dressing, transitioning.
Yeah.
It's a bizarre character, Leatherface. And it's a composite, of course, of real-life serial killers. They put all in one character.
Ed Gein and yes, many others.
It's just, and again, everything I'm saying is positive. I give this movie 5 stars. It's my second favorite horror film. It's one of the best films ever made. So everything I say is positive. It's an ugly film. It's a gross, and I mean aesthetically gross film. It makes you uncomfortable. It makes you feel like you want to shower. It works, and I'm saying this with a grin and thumbs up. It just works on so many levels as a horror film. It is just terrifying. Just terrifying. Unrelenting is the best word to describe it.
Unrelenting.
He does not... Hooper says, I'm sure he was in there with his editor. All right, we're going to put a shot of her, maybe just sitting. No, keep it going. You quick cut this thing, and you hold on that shit, and you don't stop.
Just keep shooting.
Yeah, exactly. Do not. No. Well, when are we going to stop the screaming? I want her to scream all the way through this thing, you know? And the actress rest her bones as well. She died last year, Marilyn Burns. You didn't know that?
No, I
She
didn't.
died last year of cancer.
Last year was a terrible year.
The beginning of this year is off to a sad start as well.
We're reaching that age now.
Yeah, I know.
Like our parents used to be like, do you
wait
know
till you
about
get
this?
to your 40s, your heroes are going to start dying. Yeah. But no, it's a great film, and very quickly, even though it's aged iffy, Salem's Lot was, he did a great job on that.
Yeah,
Toby
Hooper.
And I even like his Eaten Alive.
Yeah.
Where Neville Brand ran a hotel where he fed his people to the
alligators in the back.
Yeah. And, Hooper has been marginalized beyond marginalization by Hollywood. But he did a remake of the Toolbox Murders, and I thought it was pretty damn good. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
And he's, working on other projects. And
it was neat having the whole delineation of the hidden rooms.
Yeah.
In the hotel. Yeah.
Sure.
Very cool.
But I don't know why he hasn't been given another chance. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, which I've always thought was brilliant, but was trashed when it came out because everybody expected the same thing, and he went for dark comedy.
Right.
But now it's finally finding its resurgence, finding a following.
I mean, you had Dennis Hopper.
Dennis Hopper, baby.
Bill
Moseley.
Oh, Bill Moseley.
Carolyn McWilliams.
Chop Top. And it's funny that though the movie is not revered, the character is.
Sure.
Chop Top is a horror iconic character.
Yeah, he is.
Yet Texas Chainsaw
nobody likes
Massacre
Texas Chainsaw 2, right.
is not.
Yeah, exactly.
And him scratching his metal plate with his metal hook.
Lighting it first, getting a piece. Yeah, it's disgusting.
So good.
Made a genre star out of Bill Moseley.
Yep. And Rob Zombie picked it up and gave him a career again.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, right.
And now he's been in some movies that have given him some money.
Yeah.
Finally he's gotten paid.
He's another iffy one at the conventions, but you got to catch him in the right mood.
Yeah, he seems like a weirdo.
Yeah.
But I don't mind it. Be a weird fucker. Give me that weird character.
Right. Yeah. Yep. But no, I think Tobe Hooper deserves his place at the table as well.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, in season 1 of Masters of Horror, he did the worst Masters of Horror episode ever, Dance of the Dead, but then redeemed himself with the season premiere of part 2. The Damn Thing.
The Damn Thing.
That's a damn.
That was good.
Movie.
That fucking
episode.
Oil taking over that entity under the earth.
That's good. Yeah, he redeemed himself nicely.
It was good.
So he can be bad, but he is a brilliant horror director.
I can agree.
Now we have come to the head of the table in I think both of our opinions.
And we both kind of saved it, didn't we?
We did. And we won't get into him deeply. We'll do that on our show.
All right.
John Carpenter.
Wait, no.
Oh, sorry. I didn't say that, folks.
Yeah, you busted out.
No,
I was
going
to go. Michael Bay.
Michael Bay. Oh, Jesus.
John
Robert
Carpenter.
Zemeckis. Yeah. John Carpenter. My favorite. He's in my top 5 favorite filmmakers. And what I mean by that, I put him up there with Scorsese, Kurosawa, and Kubrick. He is one of the finest filmmakers ever, and one of the best, and the best genre filmmaker ever.
I can agree. He has more movies in my top 10 list than any other single film director, which includes Stanley Kubrick,
right?
Who is one of my favorite directors of all time.
Mm-hmm.
There are more in my top 10 from John Carpenter than Stanley Kubrick.
There are more in my top 20. They're a little spread out.
There are more.
There are more in my top 20 than Kubrick, Kurosawa, and Sam Peckinpah, who are in my top 3. There are more Carpenter films in my top 20 than all the... Yeah.
He puts way too much thought into this, people. No, I'm kidding. But, jeez. John Carpenter, what he's meant to me as an aspiring filmmaker, fan, person, anybody. God, how many movies? I mean, where do you start? Where do you start?
Start
Halloween.
Right.
I guess Halloween.
How about that one?
Created a genre. I'll just create a horror genre that everyone will trope off of.
Yeah, exactly.
And still troped off of for now.
To this day.
Then I'll do a creepy ass ghost story.
The best ever, I think.
The Fog. The greatest body horror story of all time, The Thing.
Exactly.
And
you know what? Oh, you like
Cronenberg did? You heard us rave about Cronenberg earlier.
Yeah.
He did it the best.
Sure.
The best.
And even though it's not horror, and then he says, oh, lots of post-apocalyptic movies of late. Let me do one.
Yeah.
Oh, Escape from New York. Best of that kind. Yeah, it's ridiculous. This guy kept raising the bar.
Wait, you want action? You want action sci-fi? You want action sci-fi horror? Wait, you want action sci-fi horror and comedy?
Well,
Big Trouble in Little
China. Trouble in Little China, right, yeah. Oh, wait, you're saying The Thing was too evil and it was an evil alien? All right. Starman.
Right.
Right, yeah. What do you mean I haven't done a Stephen King adaptation? All right. Christine. And I'm like, Jesus, this guy's out.
Wait a minute. You telling me I still don't like Stephen King? And I don't know about the past before him of H.P. Lovecraft? Here we go. In the Mouth of Madness.
Yeah, all right. Oh, wait, before that? Really? You don't think I'm into this whole time thing and what it means and the supernatural? All right. Prince of Darkness. Oh, you think I'm not political? All right. They live.
They live. Oh, shit. That's not his statement on consumerism.
Oh, my God. Dude, this guy's contribution to not only horror but films is ridiculously good and potent.
Oh, and any one of these movies still plays. Plays.
And guess what? Look at where we are now with politicians and Big Brother and things like that. And look what They Live is telling us.
Oh, my God. It's more apt today than it's ever been.
Sure. Yeah. And that was just his thing on Reagan consumerism, Reagan-era consumerism,
Reaganomics.
And where that could get us in the future. Hello, we're there.
Yep.
Obey, submit, sleep. Yeah, we're there, dude. We are there. And They Live. We have to do a show on They Live during the elections. Okay? On Theater of Blood? Yes. You heard it here, folks. We're going to do it.
We're going to do that show. I gave him a thumbs up. Sorry, I was drinking a beer.
That's all right.
That's how we do it on the show.
And we do it. That's how we rock it. You know what? John Carpenter smokes weed while he's making movies, and look what he does. So I think we can have a few beers on our show.
I still remember, I think it was on that, I mentioned before, The Boogeyman, that documentary.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He goes, before I watch a movie, I get good and stoned.
That's where it is.
So I forget about any other traces of any other thoughts, and I can just sit down and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not advocating pot to everybody else out there, but it's a lot better than violence.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And he also said that's helped him deal with the studio heads easier. I got a studio head meeting about the budget. Just let me get high first.
Yep.
Yeah. And just very quickly, if you guys want to hear great commentary on DVD and or Blu-ray, put on the commentary to either The Thing or Big Trouble in Little China. It's Carpenter and Kurt Russell. And it is like sitting in the room with a couple of guys having good beers, and I'm sure they're smoking weed. And it is so funny. They get so far off track, they start talking about their kids' Little League. It is just great. You can tell. And that's what made their pairings so good, is they're friends as well. They were legitimate
friends.
They were legitimate friends, and they had this unspoken... Carpenter would always say, I wouldn't even have to give him any... Hey, this is the scene we're doing today. I got it, John. I got it. And he did have it. And he was amazing at it, Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
But I mean, if we're speaking of horror, which I think we are, John Carpenter, for me, is the king. He will always be the king. Based on what? Based on Halloween, The Fog, Christine to a certain extent, The Thing, Prince of Darkness, which gets better and better as time goes on.
In the Mouth of
and
Madness.
In the Mouth of Madness, masterpieces or near masterpieces, everyone that I mentioned.
Yeah.
He knows how to scare us, with the exception of The Thing, where he went for the visceral. He knows how to scare us by just scaring us. He doesn't need tricks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The building feeling of foreboding. He's number one because he has more number one slots in my list than anyone else.
Yeah, exactly. Sure.
He's undoubtedly number one.
Yeah.
And I can't think of a better way to end this show.
I can't think of a better way to end it. But very quickly, we'll just, for a brief moment here, an example of his genius as far as a horror director. Halloween. It's my number 3 favorite horror film. Atmosphere. I always speak about Atmosphere. That movie, I mean, it just, when I watch it, I don't like, I won't put it on in February. I won't put it on in the summertime. When I put it on, because when you watch that movie, you feel the fall. Even though it was filmed in California and it was all phony, you feel the fall weather. The green hues he had inside the cars, the rainy, leaf-swept streets, his iconic scores, which we didn't mention. There's something about Halloween.
Him as a musician.
Yeah, I mean, my top 3 favorite horror films, Exorcist, Texas Chainsaw, Carpenter's Halloween, are all about atmosphere. But Halloween, I watch it, I smell the rain, I smell the fall, I feel it, you know what I mean? And I can only watch that movie from mid-September to late November. I can't watch it any other time. I could, but I don't get the same visceral effect on it. You know, or the same the same oral
I can agree with that. Like,
oral,
Halloween works when they play it at Halloween because it has the autumn feel to it.
Yeah, it does.
It is autumn.
And it's just his and the way he moves his camera and sets up his shots and the pacing of the film is just so. It is such a great. It's a horror film that should be studied if you want to make a horror film. The way he made that by studying Dario Argento's Suspiria. When a quick example.
Correct.
When you first see Loomis.
Good pull together right there, brother.
Thank you. When you first see Loomis and the nurse driving to pick up Michael before he breaks out.
That is the taxi cab shot.
That is the taxi cab shot of Suspiria when she gets out of the airport.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it, with the rain and the colors and that's it. And then, he takes that and then makes the rest of the movie. But it's just every moment of that film is as far as atmosphere, John Carpenter's Halloween is my favorite horror movie of all time.
I would agree. If you guys are fans of Halloween, he was influenced strongly to make this movie by 2 different films. One was Suspiria, as we already mentioned.
Right.
The other one was a movie made by a guy named Bob Clark.
Black Christmas.
Black Christmas.
One of the great horror films.
Which did the POV of the killer first.
You're right.
And it's fan-fucking-tastic.
It's brilliant. There was a shitty remake. Don't worry about that. See the 1974 original film.
Oh, my God.
With Margot Kidder.
Lois Lane is in that movie.
Lois Lane and Juliet from 1968's Romeo and Juliet, Olivia Hussey.
Yeah.
And Keir Dullea, right?
Wait, Olivia Hussey was... That is her.
Yeah.
No wonder her tits are just as beautiful.
And Keir Dullea. Dave. I'm sorry, Dave, from 2001. He's the boyfriend. Yeah. Sure. No, it's a great film, but you're right. And Carpenter took both of those.
Yeah, to influence him to make Halloween. And if you guys are looking for if you're a fan of Halloween and you haven't seen Black Christmas, go watch it.
You know what, folks? You want a good horror movie double feature? There you go. 1974's Black Christmas and Carpenter's Halloween.
Boom. I think we did this thing.
Yeah, we did it. That's good. That's
first inaugural show, y'all.
That's right. Well, it's our intro to our inaugural show.
Yeah,
but this
that's
has been your introduction to Theater of Blood. And in July, stay tuned, everybody. We'll post about it. We'll make a Facebook page. We are going to do Theater of Blood, a horror podcast, and we're gonna get deep into the horror.
I'm gonna get deep.
We'll call all horror fans
deep.
and bring you to the group. We'll have hopefully
So
interviews.
deep.
Hopefully interviews by the end of the year. But yeah, we're going to rock that too. So look for changes in widescreen and look for Matt Head and I's new Theater of Blood podcast.
Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you, Matt, for finally being on widescreen.
Hey!
And I look forward to you hoping you're coming back very soon to speak on other subjects.
I do too. Thank you so much for having me, Anthony. I had a great time.
It's and yes, and we'll see you soon. Thank you for listening, folks. And this is Tony. That was Matt Head, and we will see you next widescreen.